Hey guys, welcome to my first video for the Intro to MATLAB Guide series that I'm doing. So in this guide series, we're going to learn all about arrays, we're going to learn about vectors, we're going to learn about really the fundamentals of MATLAB so that you can use MATLAB in your classes and outside of class for different projects. So for this first video, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about the interface of MATLAB and start to get a little bit familiar with what all the different pieces and parts are. So let's get started. So the first part that we have is our current folder directory. Now essentially what the current folder directory is it's kind of like a scope system, right? So inside your file, you'll be running different functions and you'll be running the script itself. So in order to actually run that script, you'll have to be in that corresponding folder for that script to run. Now we'll talk a lot more about this once we get into functions and especially external functions, because in order to call those external functions, they have to be in the same folder. So we'll talk a lot more about that as we go through. Now, second up is our workspace. Now, essentially our workspace, that'll contain all of the variables as well as all of the values that we will be creating. These could be numerical values, these could be text-based values, and it'll also hold all of the anonymous functions that we'll be creating as well. And then last but not least, for the three main sections, is our command window. Our command window, essentially what that is going to do is that's going to output all of our text-based answers, that's going to output any warnings, any errors. That'll basically be your communication friend to tell you what's going on and if anything's going wrong, what is going wrong. So now that we have kind of the three sections, we have an idea of what those are, let's create our first folder for this project. So as you can see, I have all my other current folders from other projects and classes. So let's create a folder called Ian's Guides, and then this can contain all of our MATLAB folders and files and functions and such that we'll create along the way. Now, the two main file types that we'll tend to use in this guide series will be a script file. Now, script files have the file extension of .m, and we'll also have live script files, which those have the extension of .mlx. I assume L is for live. But essentially, I'll use the live scripts a lot more frequently in this guide series simply because it's kind of like a Jupyter notebook, if you're familiar with that with Python languages, because you can essentially more easily tell a story as you go throughout. So let's create, actually both. So let's create a script just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So this has basically pretty much no formatting. Like you'll have text, you can say, x equals 5, you can say, I don't know, display hello, something like that, right? And then we can press the run button to run through the scripts. Oh, I guess we have to title it. So we'll say test 1. And notice the .m extension. And then you see, so the workspace, as we said earlier, so that's where all of our files, or excuse me, where all of our variables and such are going to actually be displayed. So we have x equal to 5 being output in our workspace. And then the command window, that's where our errors as well as our outputs go. So we can say test 1 hello. So for example, let's create an error. So let's just say display y. But in this case, y isn't defined, so we're going to get an error. So basically everything will pop up in your command window to tell you what's going on. Now for comparison, if we click on new here to open up a new script, we can click live scripts, and then let's save this. Save. And then let's call this test2.mlx. Now for this, what we can do is it starts off doing code. So we can say maybe h is 5, and then we can say display hi. So if we were to run this, or save it and then run it, so we see that hi actually displays here off to the side instead of actually in the command window. So that's why I'll use this a lot more than the actual script, just because we can actually see what's going on right off the bat. And one thing, if you want the text actually display underneath, you can click that button there and then you'll get your text directly. So I'll be using this a lot more frequently than the other script file, but we can jump back and forth. And then if you want, you can also add text to. So you can say, hi there, test, or something like that, right? So there's definitely a lot that we can get into, and honestly, I'm excited to show you guys all of the fun things that I've learned over the years. So I'll see you next time.